morning, everyone. So, good morning, sir. Yes. So we were talking yesterday about administration. Now, we hope that you understand why we need public administration. Now, a simple thing is any state, so it wants to serve people, so it does through government, and this government cannot do without role of administration. This. So basically, it's like this you can say, and ultimately the responsibility lies with administration on your shoulder, isn't it? So many a time people say that ultimately country is run by bureaucracy. No, you may also have this in mind. But bureaucracy cannot serve unless it is itself efficient. This, if it is not efficient, it cannot serve. It cannot deliver. So to make administration efficient, although reforms can be brought, but it is complex. It is challenging. You can see that how even present government since 2014, it has been trying its best to bring radical reforms. But those radical reforms have not still brought desired results. No. The government promised for doubling the farm income. I guess it has become triple, not only double. Isn't it? So, the farm income lectures, it is challenging. Promise you make, but it is very challenging to execute. So, it was realized by Wilson, although there were many thinkers who realized this. Like, you can see that there are many people who have plan, but who has a good plan which can be executed. So there can be, let's say, there were many thinkers who talked about administration, but they did not talk as clearly, as, let's see, aggressively you can say, emphatically you can say, as it was Wilson. That why we need to have a separate discipline. Because the problem of administration is so challenging that it demands a separate discipline, a separate subject, which can focus on its implementation problems. Yes. So, running government itself is very challenging, and in that it is itself very challenging to run administration efficiently. This administration itself, let's say, if it is not efficient, you cannot perform efficiently. Now, when we talk about efficiencies, we told that in organization, there are three things: structure, process, and behavior. So, many a time it happens that we are not able to manage people. You can see that we are not able to manage people. The day two or more people decide to work together, the one important challenge is how to manage them. And many a time, objective of organization is displaced by their own personal goals, isn't it? So managing people, how to manage people, how to achieve efficiency, managing people, it is very challenging. Then people must be themselves efficient. If they are not efficient, they cannot deliver efficiently. So how people can be made efficient, that comes. And then let's say that if people are efficient, if they do not have good tools and techniques, so then again their efficiency will suffer. No, like you are in search of good resource for civil service preparation, isn't it? And if you do not have good resource, so what will happen? Your preparation will suffer. Even if you are an efficient person, skilled, knowledgeable, qualified person, but still if you do not have qualified good resources, your level of preparation will suffer. That is how the role of techniques, or you can say process, methods. Then it comes, let's say that how to organize people, how to structure people. Because if two or more people want to work in any organization, you have to create a hierarchy. Otherwise, they will fight among themselves. Isn't it? You can see the fight starts in family when hierarchy is not clear. Especially when daughter-in-law comes in house. This. As long as, isn't it? So as long as she was not in house, mother was the sole authority, isn't it? So hierarchy was not a problem. As soon as she comes in house, hierarchy is disturbed. And it results into conflicts. Isn't it? Even if mother was also efficient and daughter-in-law is also efficient, but what happens? End result is nobody gets breakfast on time. Right. I think many people have suffered, I guess. Right. This is our traditional, already suffering. So लगता है breakfast नहीं मिला है. Anyhow, so the question is, this is how we find hierarchy. Defining, even if let's say that both were efficient, isn't it? Mother all alone was able to serve family very efficiently, there was not a problem. Daughter-in-law, when she belonged to a new generation, so certainly she will also be very efficient. But end result is inefficiency. Because hierarchy is not clear. And it is not a problem in all families, but this is how a general problem in Indian society. So, organizing people, structuring people, and getting work done are challenges. This. So, these are the challenges of administration. Plus, you have external challenges. So, these are internal challenges. Plus, external challenges. We told you a bit of environment. That external, first day, first posting, transfer order. This. So, that can happen, isn't it? And you know that Ashok Khemka has been transferred 55 times in 30 years. The good thing is still he is in service. So, that is what we'll find is. So, these things will find that challenge. How to manage these things. So, we need, suppose that we need to have some theoretical inputs. We need to have a subject which can look into mother and daughter-in-law relationship, isn't it? Why they have problem, how they can work together. Means how people in organization can be made to work together. That is how the task. And that was, let's say, initially stage realized by Woodrow Wilson, which is what we were talking about. It is a discipline or subject you have opted which focuses on how to solve the problems of administration. Any state has administration. No state can govern without administration. There was administration even in ancient time, medieval time, even modern times. And a state which can have efficient administration will be able to govern better. Because many a time problem becomes governance, not resource. As we told about family, isn't it? The problem is not of resource, problem is of governance. Many a time you can find that how our onions, potatoes, etc., let's say that they are thrown on the road. Why they are thrown on the road? We are not able to manage it. Yes. So many a time we complain that we do not have resources. But on the other hand, what we are doing? We are not able to manage resources. So we are not able to simply manage it. Because you don't have a system in place which can easily absorb bumper production. Rather, prices go down. Hence, farmers are forced to throw it. Because selling is itself, let's say that loss-making thing. They are not getting the input cost. So other countries will also have the same problem, but they may be managing. No, you will study all the things in your paper 3 in GS paper. Just I wanted to highlight that. Resource. So many a time you have resource, we do not know how to manage it. Yes. That's why role of administration becomes important. And that is how we were trying to talk, and Wilson we were trying to tell. So Wilson and US administration. So since he belongs to US that time, and he was concerned, any country, any thinker, any such, let's leader, will be first concerned about his country. Yes. So he found problems in US administration, as we told that first it was a spoiled system. And that spoiled system was nothing but a sort of favoritism, you can say that, patronage, you can say that, in civil services. The party workers, once the party wins, then party workers were given positions in administration. Which I sarcastically say that, suppose party wins, so you may be aware about Ram Madhav, he should be made cabinet secretary. Isn't it? Are you aware? Not aware. So, suppose he is made cabinet secretary. Acha hi hoga? Anyhow, so that is how we spoil system. This party workers, they are made, they are not qualified people. They are not meritorious people. Plus, favoritism is also there. So that will result into inefficiency in administration. How efficiency will come? Efficiency needs meritorious people. Without meritorious people, you cannot achieve efficiency. Isn't it? Meritorious people. So those, let's say that in different sectors, in different positions, different types of people we need. This, like statisticians, so they should be skilled in that statistics, isn't it? Mathematicians. So different types of people you need in different positions, and they should be very meritorious. And that is how to know meritorious, how to bring meritorious people. You should have merit-based recruitment. But till that time, still there was no merit-based recruitment. Although we had introduced in 1854, but US did not have merit-based system. Yes. And that, let's say, resulted in spoiled system, resulted into murder of one president, James Garfield. That resulted into debate, movement, more awareness. People will become more aware about the problems of the spoiled system. They will demand reforms. The reforms are also brought, which we'll talk about that. Then we told that Wilson, when he get this curiosity, that knowing problems of administration, when you develop curiosity to know, so you just try to further look into that matter, go in details of that. So he started looking into efficiency, etc. That is how he found that there was also another thinker, Taylor, F.W. Taylor, who had done lots of work related to efficiency. This, he was considered as efficiency scholar, as we told you that he submitted 30,000 research papers to American Society of Mechanical Engineers. This, if you are a mechanical engineer, you may be aware about that association. So he submitted that. Then he was also, let's say, he found that or he tried to further inquire that why there is lack of development in administration. Although their country already, let's say, 100 years back, means a century back, they adopted a constitution. It means they were very advanced in constitutional development. Constitutional development means democratic development. So they were very advanced in democratic development, democratic system, elected government, this fundamental right to citizens. As far as politics was concerned, they had quite development. But why there was lack of development in administration? So to know this, he tried to adopt a comparative approach, tried to know that whether other countries are also facing the same problem. He tried to know that time European administration, because that is how it was that time, other countries were colonized. So he looked into European administration, French, German administration, and he found that how they were very efficient And also he found the causative factor that why they were able to establish an efficient system, although they did not have democratic system. French and German, they were monarchical states. They did not have democratic system. So there was lack of development of democratic system, but they had administrative system. So there are two systems, let's say, one we say democratic system, another we say administrative system. One we say political system, another we say administrative system. We are more concerned about administrative system, although we cannot separate ourselves from democratic or political system. This. And if you take political science optional, isn't it? So you'll find that they will focus more on political system, less on administrative system, although they also teach administrative system. This. So that is how the legislature changed. And he found that wise in a monarchical system it is easy to bring reform. Gradually you will become familiar to all these things. So you know how in our country reforms become very slow. And some of the things are never reformed. This you should also know. It does not matter. So let's say that generally in schools, basically state government schools, no. So books etc. you will find that they are not updated. So children study the same book studied by parents. General. अच्छा है, cost, economic aspect you take care of. So it is not let's say that it change. So that way you can say reforms. The reforms cannot only be related to administration. These are all sort of things. And I shared you that how Lokpal we started creating in 1968. Finally we created in 2013. Still we did not operate it. It took 6 years to operate it. इसलिए remote नहीं था, मिल नहीं रहा था. So this is how we'll find out 6 years. When it will effectively work, we will see it, isn't it? You may not have heard name of Lokpal, at least whether it works or not, isn't it? Anyhow, so similarly we shared you farm bills, reservation bills, this. These are some general things you'll find. Reforms become very slow. Because of lack of consensus, people have their own vested interest. That is how he also says that since UK and US both were administered democratic system, hence they had slow growth of administrative system. UK had also the same problem. Later on, first democratic system emerged, then administrative system. The UK is the land where rule of law given, democratic system given. And then they had administrative system. And that is how these all factors forced him to talk about a separate discipline, because he says that it is getting harder to run a constitution than to frame one. And this separation, he started talking about a concept called politics administration dichotomy. This and politics administration dichotomy is nothing but, he says, since both activities are different, politics is concerned, as we told that, politics is concerned about policy making. Let's say government. Government is concerned about policy making, taking policy decisions. Administration is concerned with executing that decisions. And both are two separate, distinct activities. Policy making demands separate level of expertise. Execution demands different level of expertise. And execution becomes more challenging than policy making. Since it becomes more challenging, so a separate attention demands. So when a separate attention demands, then we have to have a separate subject. This separation, when he was talking, there are two distinct activities. We need to have separation and focus on implementation side is known as politics administration dichotomy. And since he wanted to establish a separate subject, so he also started talking to what that subject should do. Because when you talk about a separate subject, it should do something. What that subject should do, what should be the nature of that subject, activities of that subject, how it should try to formulate theories and principles. He talks about those aspects. And that is how talking all these things result into emergence of public administration. So since he argued all these things in his essay, which was published in a political science journal in 1887, that is taken by the thinkers as beginning of a separate discipline. This, and that is how we can consider the beginning aspect. Then we'll talk other things. So let's write on this. So yesterday we did not have any dictation, so it is your first day, isn't it, to write? Anyhow, so let's write on this. Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson is considered the founding father of public administration. Father of public administration. His essay, The Study of Administration. His essay, The Study of Administration. Study of Administration, which was published in 1887, which was published in 1887, became basis for emergence of public administration, as a separate discipline. As he argued, why a discipline was needed. To overcome challenges of policy implementation. He remarked, it was getting harder to run a constitution. Than to frame one. Change in paragraph, then you write. Woodrow Wilson wrote his essay in 1887, in which he argued for why there should be a separate discipline. Although there were thinkers before Wilson, who also talked about the role of administration, but it was Wilson who clearly articulated the need for a separate discipline. On the basis of following rationales. Rationales RATIONALES. First, policy execution had become policy execution had become more challenging than policy making. Policy execution had become more challenging than policy making. Next, there was too much focus on there was too much focus on policy making side, but too little on policy execution. Too little on policy execution. Next, society had become complex. Society had become complex due to changes like industrial revolution, population growth, etc., which in turn posed challenges, which in turn posed challenges in policy execution, challenges to administration in policy execution. Next, administration was not organized and structured. Administration was not organized and structured on merit principles. Rather on a spoiled system. Therefore, such factors contributed in terms of influencing his thinking about why there should be a separate discipline. A movement was going in US against corruption in administration due to a spoiled system which even resulted into murder of US President James Garfield. This resulted into civil services reforms. Like Pendleton Act, 1881, which introduced for the first time merit system. but only in 10% positions. Only in 10% positions. Wilson felt upset, or Wilson was upset by this reform. Wilson was upset by this reform, as he intended for 100% merit system. 100% merit system. Then his curiosity to know about administration further increased due to such developments, and he tried to know more about administration, its efficiency and problems, problems. To know about administration, he adopted comparative approach. To know about administration, he adopted a comparative approach, and he found that French and German administration, had established very efficient administrative system. He wondered why they were able to establish efficient system, although UK and US first experienced development of democratic system. He found that first, in a monarchical system, it was easy to bring reforms. And an efficient administration was needed to minimize dissatisfaction of people. The monarchical system needed what? Difficult to repeat.
In a monarchical system, it was easy to bring reforms.
Yes.
And efficient administration was needed to minimize dissatisfaction of people.
That is how it is. Repetition is difficult. Right. Largely. Like you can see Brexit in UK. It took time. This because you have to build consensus. Even if let's say society is less heterogeneous, but you have to build consensus. At least consensus in legislature. Legislature, any such, if it is a law, it will go through legislature. Legislature has its own process. A monarchical system does not have legislature. At drafting stage itself, you have, let's say, a government at drafting stage of law. So that is all. There is also challenge. It takes time. This, so that way it can be. If government does not have majority, suppose it is called bicameral legislature and the other legislature is also equally powerful like Senate. So you know what will happen. This, there are challenges. That is how it is. Even if system is working properly, still it can take time. Yes. But system does not work. Gradually you will know in that way. Yes. What we are saying is. Right. See, we'll talk questions once. Let's talk on Wilson when we finish it. By the time itself, your own curiosity will be addressed and many questions will be addressed by that. A bit of patience is needed, isn't it? Because at this stage you can have many questions in mind, but suppose we finish the topic now, by the time or many questions will be addressed. Still anything is left, we can address that time. We have not dealt public opinion yet. So when it will come, I guess it will be addressed. So let's write on this what we were saying. First we are saying is it is it is easy to bring reforms in a monarchical system. They need also to establish an efficient administration to minimize the dissatisfaction of people. Because you know that if people are not satisfied, so you have also, let's say, 1857 revolt. This, and it was after 1857 revolt that they tried to change their approach and they started changing in administration, associating Indians, this and that. So they did not want to serve Indians, rather they want to minimize chances of further revolt by improving satisfaction. So, because in a monarchical system, the challenge is first to control people. Then you can have an imperialistic agenda. This, so that way, let's say that it was. That is how he was trying to highlight. Let's write next point. In a democratic system, like US and UK, reforms were slow. Reforms were slow as reforms needed consensus. Reforms needed consensus, which became difficult at times due to differences in public opinion. Due to differences in public opinion. Public opinion. Yes. Change the paragraph. Therefore, he was impressed by the efficiency of French and German administration. French and German administration. Okay. However, he intended to only imitate their efficiency, not monarchical system, not monarchical system. System. That is, introduce cultural lens, introduce cultural lens, cultural lens factor in learning from others, in learning from others. That there should not be blind imitation. There should not be blind imitation, rather the imitation should be suitable to social ethos of society, social ethos of society, suitable to social ethos of society. And US,
Hello, sir. Can you please repeat, sir?
the imitation should be suitable to the social ethos of society. Then thereafter, it's social ethos of society. And US had a democratic social ethos, democratic social ethos as against monarchical system of France and Germany, as against monarchical system of France and Germany. This, see, every bit of thing can be a potential question. That is how you should know that. That's why everything becomes important. Gradually we learn, isn't it? अभी जो लिखना आता है लिखो. Means even if you are writing wrong, write it. See what other people are writing, isn't it? So there will be a challenge. Gradually, after let's say 2-3 classes, things will become normal. Although it is always going to be a challenge. Is it? Right. So what we are saying is why we are giving such emphasis. You may think that it is very small thing. No. Why we are unnecessarily talking US and French, etc. Isn't it? So so it can be a potential question. This, we have been expecting this question today or tomorrow. So Wilson was comparative as well as ethnocentric. Comment if you understand. Yes, yes. 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 So when he says, let's say, blind imitation we should not do. He is aware that there's, let's say, social ethos means it's social, political, economic, let's say, cultural aspects of the society. Like Indian society is a different society. Their society is a different society. No. Ours is a different society. Our society still believes in more of joint family system. We, our, us, isn't it? That kind of concept. Their society has no family system. Our Our society has a family. Family is the smallest institution of society. Yes. And family system creates checks and balances in society. Their society does not have family system, isn't it? So our things are different. In our society, giving divorce is a very strange thing, isn't it? Strange, isn't it? लगता है कि कुछ क्राइम कर दिया है. Right. और वहां पे क्या है? डिवोर्स नहीं दिया तो लगता है क्राइम कर दिया. Right. And they can adopt. They can adopt to the multiple stages of life. यहाँ एक ही लाइफ नहीं संभल रहा है. You are, let's say, struggling, and they move ahead one after another. So this is what you'll find. So you can see Elon Musk there, isn't it? It does not affect his entrepreneurial spirit. So, but अगर वो इंडिया में होता है तो उसको इतना कंट्रोवर्शियल बना देते हैं, isn't it? न्यूज़पेपर वाले, टीवी चैनल वाले. You can see how there's one cricketer and wife relation case is going in court, isn't it? So this, and it is dragged like anything. No, so our society is different. Their society is different, especially Western society. The US and UK, they are democratic system. Democracy, let's say that people, their rights are more important than anyone's right. Now even France and Germany, entire Europe has become democratized. But that time when he was talking, they were under process of this. He did not want to just simply incorporate their efficiency. Rather, it suits to US. That's why he said that there should be public opinion control. While writing yesterday, we have written one point, public opinion control and control on administration. We will talk there, what does it mean? So that way it has relevance. If you have read Prasad and Prasad, there is one remark also written. If you see, let's say, a person, right, with a razor sharp knife, right, to murder, right, someone, means, so what he says is that we will not borrow intention of his murder. Rather, we should borrow sharpness of knife. This sharpness of knife is not intention of murderer. This. So that is what, let's say, he has given. That is how we are trying to tell. So these are some of the backgrounds, let's say. Backgrounds about Wilson. There are other aspects of backgrounds which are not needed to know, because in public administration, those things are not important. When he was born, where he was born, right, his age, these are for curiosity. You can read in Prasad and Prasad. Then he was a leader, a political sciences scholar, an administrator, and also US president. These are again for curiosity, let's say. You can write, hardly it has any meaning. You don't have to write even in answers of these things. Rather, we have to write his thought, the relevance, which of the things or which factors, let's say, influence his thought, and what was his thought about the discipline and its relevance. These things we have to focus more. That is how we are trying to do. So let's write further on this.
So can we say the comparative in learning so that it remains open-minded while learning? And ethnocentric in adopting what learned from the comparative approach?
Yes, it can be. But at this stage, I even did not intend to ask this question. Right? It is not still a right time to ask. The right time will come shortly, isn't it? After some time. So let's write further on this. Right. In summary, it can be stated that Wilson thought was influenced by following factors. First, Spoils system in US. Spoils system in US. Second, Taylor's efficiency approach. Taylor's efficiency approach, in bracket, had made him popular. Had, in bracket you can write, had made him popular. Popular. Next. Lack of focus on policy implementation and too much focus on policy execution. Policy execution. Next. His comparative approach. Next point. His, what happened? Lack of focus on policy implementation and too much focus on policy making. You can have self-correction. What? Slow. Right. Right. Difficult. Right. Difficult, yes. What you can say? Certainly, I can become a bit slow, but yes, gradually means you have to speed up. This, anyhow. So what we are saying? Next, comparative approach. Fourth point, comparative approach to learn from others. To learn from others. Learn from others. Change in paragraph. The prevailing conditions in US during 1880s on the one hand, and on the other, lack of focus on policy implementation. Influence Wilson's thought about why there should be a separate discipline. Why there should be a separate discipline. Separate discipline. The challenges of policy implementation. Were much more serious than challenges of policy making. That they could be addressed only through a separate discipline. He argued that public administration should be separated from political science. separated from political science so that it could focus on challenges of policy implementation. Change the paragraph. The discipline would try to build theories and principles, tools and techniques. The discipline should build theories and principles, tools and techniques, which could be used by administration, to overcome policy implementation challenges. In his essay, he went on giving a detailed description on nature and characteristics of not only public administration, detailed description on nature and characteristics of not only public administration as a subject, but also public administration as an institution of government, how it should be designed, structured, and what should be its role and objectives. That is what we are saying. So, basically whatever we have told so far, we have just tried to write it. So, there is always, let's say that, a macro aspect. And then there is a micro aspect. That always we should have in mind. The macro thing is influencing. That macro thing influencing, let's say that present government and macro and micro. Macro thing which is influencing the government to bring reforms. It can be related to globalization, fourth industrial revolution. So that innovation in our society, innovation has gone to a high level, we find. So these are macro things at what is national, international level, and those things are somehow influencing the government to bring reforms so that it can match with those macro environment. But macro things are not given too much significance. While we write, while we discuss, right, it is just mentioned once or twice. Even in books also you'll find that they will not give so much significance. Rather, we give more emphasis on the micro aspects. Like say we say comparative administration, comparative focus, too much focus on policy making, too little on policy execution, spoil system. But at the same time, these things were influenced by the environment that time, industrial revolution, capitalism and other things, because they were forcing the governments to become more efficient. Yes, otherwise you will not match with the society and administration. There will be a huge mismatch. Yes. Those factors are influencing him to become talk on efficiency. So, macro environment many a time give you basis to talk something which can be acceptable. That is called right time. So, when you talk any reform, so what is the right time of that reform? It is matching with the environment. Yes. So, that factor can be considered. Plus, he says that the public administration as a discipline, it should not only focus on building theories and principles. He talks also that what public administration as an institution, the administration that we talk, which is responsible for implementations, what should be its role, what it should do, what should be its objective, how it should be structured. These things also he describes in his essay. Yes. That is how we can say the background aspect. So let's write now contributions of Wilson. Contributions of Wilson. Contributions of Wilson. Wilson ही होगा, isn't it? So first is politics administration dichotomy. Politics administration dichotomy. It was the most important theoretical or conceptual contribution. It was the most important theoretical or conceptual contribution by Woodrow Wilson, which became basis for separation of public administration from political science. He considers politics and administration as two distinct activities or fields. Politics is concerned about policy making. And administration is concerned about policy execution. The role of public administration should be to focus on policy execution. The role of public administration should be to focus on policy execution. Okay. He remarked, administrative questions are not political questions. And therefore, his approach to consider politics and administration as two distinct fields became basis for conceptualization of politics administration dichotomy. See, when we use the term politics, although we'll tell more on politics administration when we'll take criticisms, or not that also when we'll take current status of dichotomy. Here we will not tell more than this. Why? We have to talk at theory stage level what exactly the thinker was talking. This. At that stage level, we are not supposed to add our understanding. Otherwise, what thinker was talking would be distorted. This. And theory is a theory, whether you accept it or not. It has nothing to do with that aspect. So, otherwise, the core aspect of that theory is distorted. We cannot talk more than this, let's say. What he was saying. Yes, we'll try to explain what exactly he was trying to say. Whether he was right, he was wrong. What exactly when we say politics administration, so it means, but not it is a right place. At this stage. What he is trying to say, since politics is concerned about policy making, and already you have lots of focus on policy making side. You had that time also political science. But policy execution, he says it is a separate activity. Separate means not necessarily to separate from politics. Separate means it is an important activity. And to some extent, there is a demarcation of line. When you take policy decision, when you execute policy. So this policy execution is a separate activity, means there is distinction. And since it is very challenging and complex, that's why the way you have a discipline related to policy making side, there should also be a discipline related to policy execution side. This distinction. So, and it is true also that the politics is concerned about policy making. It is organized structure on different principles. This politics is organized on democratic principle. But he will not say all these things. We are saying. Just for your understanding. This. So politics is on the basis of democratic principles. Can we say? Politics is not what comes in your mind. Try to understand. Because in our country, politics is so negative that only negative will come in your mind. But politics is a very different thing. Entire political philosophy is based on politics, let's say. This is not what politics we play in our country. Right. So politics is a separate field. Politics means you should know political science. Politics means political theories. Politics means democratic theories. Those who have given Bentham, J.S. Mill, rule of law, Locke, Rousseau, all these, let's say, philosophers, they established modern politics. So politics means that, not the politics which is coming in your mind. Then you will understand it. The politics is based on democratic principle. That the members are elected, there is a party, they are elected. Elected is democratic principle. Those who elect, there is a universal adult franchise, there is equality, right to vote, you enjoy free and fair elections, blah blah things happen. So this is how we say democratic principles. This those who win elections, majority they get, they form the government. That is how we say democracy. It is based on democratic principles, but administration is based on efficiency principle, or you can say merit principle. Both are organized on two different principles, right? And you are trying to execute decision. You are not going to join a field where you take decision, although you think in that way. अभी आपका thinking यही होगा कि मैं ये करूँगा, वो करूँगा, isn't it? Yes. What? Decision making के बारे में सोच रहे हो. धीरे धीरे gradually realize होगा कि I don't have to take decision, I have to execute decisions. Then, so administration, right? It executes decision. It does not take decision. But there is a decision within decision. decision within decision. If still you get opportunity to take decision. Yes. But not political level decision. Yes. So it is based on efficiency principle, isn't it? Administration. That's why you are trying to qualify through efficiency principle, isn't it? Those who want to enter in administration, they try to qualify through merit system, isn't it? And those who want to enter in politics, they want to become meritorious by act of murders. This is how their qualification. So the question is politics negative side if you take this. I guess there are two different activities, you understand, the two different institutions. This is what he was trying to say without explaining much. It is presumed, he is a scholar, he will not tell these basic things. It is presumed that politics is based on democratic principle, administration is based on merit principle. And its role is to bring execution. Execute. To execute, why it should execute? Because you are supposed to be efficient. You are supposed to be efficient, meritorious. Yes. But they are not supposed to be meritorious, rather they are supposed to be democratic. Yes. That is the difference. And that is what we can say. But since it is very challenging, it is very challenging. That's why there should be a separate discipline. We should focus on this side. This public administration should focus on this side, not on this side. This he was trying to create a wall, let's say that. By separating, that is how we say it is a concept of politics administration dichotomy. This, that is how we can talk on this. Then let's write next. Is it clear? Are you able to understand? Yes. The next point is in contributions. What we have written next point? Yesterday we wrote. Yes.
It is very clearly stated regarding that he was very pleased about the separability and tractability. So why we are focusing on the separability rather than separability?
अच्छा try to understand that डेजर्ट कब सर्व किया जाता है? पहले या बाद में? बाद में. ठीक है, तो लग रहा है आप डेजर्ट पहले ही सर्व कर रहे हो. Right. You cannot criticize a thinker without knowing the theory. What you are saying is criticism. Right. A part of criticism. What we are trying is explaining the theory. Right? So that way. You should understand. So questions should be asked at right time. मैंने भी पढ़ा होगा प्रसाद इन प्रसाद. Isn't it? या मैं एनसीईआरटी पढ़ के आ गया. So gradually you will learn that when to ask which thing, isn't it? Yes. So everything has its context. We know he was there is a criticism, but that is part of criticism. It is not part of theory. Yes. So let's write second is 3 is. As objectives. Efficiency, economy, and effectiveness. They become, let's say that, an important part of public administration, or also they are objectives of the state. No. So, Do you know the difference between the three? Efficiency, economy, effectiveness? No. Half people belong to science, so their time has come. Now, engineers know better about efficiency. So, when we talk about efficiency, efficiency is more related to output orientation, result orientation. It is about performance, right? Like, what is the efficiency of this class? No. After 2.5 hours, you can know what is the efficiency, how many pages you write. No. So, how many pages you write is one such efficiency, isn't it? And whether you are able to write it, like speed, isn't it? Whether you are able to write with speed, etc. So that is efficiency. Economy is how minimum page you take. No, so who takes the minimum number of pages? और कुछ लोगों की आदत होगी क्रिस क्रॉस करना, isn't it? This. So economy is about saving of resources, basically minimizing wastage of resources. So we should not perform any role by wastage of resources, by also minimizing resources, isn't it? In government offices, let's say it is government office. The government office में क्या होता है, मान लो कि they have to be given snacks, tea, coffee, etc. Suppose they need 100 tea and coffee, etc. snacks, and they have bought it for 120. The 20 will go waste, isn't it? Same thing in receptions, etc. you can find in our society. So whether the food, etc. we serve to people and we do not waste it. You go in a restaurant, you eat. हमारा Indian style में क्या है? We order more, isn't it? To show it, we eat less. It is wastage. This basically economy is related to minimizing wastage of resources. This. You should not achieve results, right, just by wasting resources. You should minimize resources. That is how also important. Anyhow, effectiveness. You have written also, isn't it? Speed is also, but effective is what you have learned. Right. Have you learned anything or just written pages? No. तो लिख लिया था जो बोला था, isn't it? Anyhow, so gradually this is how you find this. Effectiveness means suppose कि governments are, let's say, working and they may, let's say, have lots of performance related activities. We give generally example, let's say roads are constructed, flyovers are constructed, metro is constructed. So it is the government efficiency. They may have efficiency in an economy, this, but whether they are able to solve the problems of society. What problems of society? Transportation. First transportation problem is accessibility of transportation. This accessibility. Second is, let's say, seamless service, hassle-free transportation. No, let's say you go and this, let's say that at Gol Chakkar, let's say Shankar Road or that side in East Patel Nagar, you get traffic. You will find that we may have increased the number of metros and buses, etc. and high-speed buses. You can have BRT system you have, but level of satisfaction of people may not necessarily has increased. Can we say? Because traffic problem remains. Yes. Because by the time you build that road and metro, you have added more people in the city. You have added more, let's say, vehicles in the city. And space remains the same. So overall satisfaction may be less. But there is efficiency. The government basically faces challenge of effectiveness. This, although it has also challenge of efficiency and economy, but it is less challenging to address problem of efficiency in economy. It is more challenging to address problem of effectiveness, because it deals with quality. It deals with accomplishment of goals. Goals, let's say. Goals are very subjective. We, the people of India. People India ke hi log hain, isn't it? So, it has such ideal aspect, isn't it? We, the people of India. Liberty, equality, freedom. जाके रोड साइड में किसी से बोलो तो हंसेगा आपके ऊपर. This, because of ideal aspect, isn't it? This, so that is what you'll find. This ideal, goals, subjective, which are very difficult to achieve. And that is what he was saying. Public administration should not only achieve efficiency and economy, but also effectiveness. And he was talking that time, 100 years back. Means public administration should also solve the problems of society. Right? It should not only be efficient. So that is how he was trying to say. Just let's see a few lines, let's write on this. Right. He considered three E's as objectives of public administration. That it should not only be result oriented, economical, but also it should solve the problems of society. In other words, it should achieve the objectives of government, which are generally considered ideal, in nature. So, you should know that three E's became basis for public administration not only that time, but also let's see, classical thinkers will also talk, which we don't need to talk, but yes, we can tell it. We don't need to write it. Otherwise, you will also write when you write answers. Basically, we are sensitive of this fact. Whatever we'll tell, you'll also think that कि ये भी लिखना है. Hey, this is a concern. Then you'll end up writing unnecessary things. So, classical thinkers also, they talk about three A's. Then if you go to further down the line, let's say that after 1960s also, there will be focus on three A's, let's say. Then 1990s also, let's say we have new public management. It has also three E's as theme. Yes. So, they remain objectified. And then three E's have been further incorporated in one such characteristics of good governance. And that is the relevance of wills. Yes. So that we can consider. Let's write next point. Next we have talked is, I guess, merit. Yes, merit-based civil services. Merit-based civil services. A spoil spoil system was one of the most important factors. The spoil system was one of the most important factors in influencing thought of Wilson. For a separate discipline. This system encouraged inefficiency and corruption. Hence, merit becomes an obvious choice. For establishing an efficient administration. Merit is considered as a byproduct of efficiency. Merit is considered a byproduct of efficiency, which eliminates political influence, partisanship, and brings meritorious people. By the way, how merit promotes efficiency? Yes. Yes, it is also true. So, merit, UPSC is merit based. So, you are trying to achieve merit. State public services are less meritorious. Now, do they attract meritorious talent, merit people? Yes. So why you should have first applied for a state service? It should give you also career option, isn't it? Anyhow, you are not attracted towards the state service. Simply because even if you admit, do not admit, that's different thing. It is not meritorious. It does not pose challenge to you. UPSC poses challenge to you. You want to take that challenge. That motivates you. That brings meritorious people. Merit itself begets merit. It builds a meritorious culture. It may have several flaws, but UPSC poses challenge to you. You want to rise to that level of challenge, isn't it? So, when there is a merit system, it attracts meritorious people. That is most important thing. Because if you do not attract meritorious people, so you will recruit less meritorious people. The less meritorious people, you cannot train them to improve efficiency. This training has its limitations. ट्रेनिंग से ही अगर सबको सिखाना होता है ना, तो सब सारे टीम में 11 प्लेयर सचिन तेंदुलकर ही होते हैं, right? Isn't it? Training has its limitations. Right? You want to identify meritorious people, yes, and that will improve efficiency. Yes, that's why private sector, corporate sector, it is open to merit. And if it finds that even a young person has merit, that young person is given opportunity. That's why they have innovations. Their innovations are better than public sector. Why? If you are a very meritorious person, you have a place in that organization to a very higher level. Yes, managerial positions they will not give. Technical positions they can give, because managerial positions come from experience also. But as far as think tank is concerned, technical position is concerned, so they don't follow necessarily the hierarchy. They can give you opportunity. That's why they are highly innovative. Government sector is hierarchical. The hierarchy many times affects merit. Hierarchy many times affects merit. This you should know. Anyhow, that is the main idea about merit system. So, when there is a spoiled system, it breeds corruption, it is one thing, but it does not attract meritorious people. That is more, let's say, that is a serious problem than breeding corruption. Why there is a flight of talent? Why there is brain drain? This. Because those who think flight of talent, they think that their talent will not be recognized. Isn't it? Their talent will not be recognized. That is how there is brain drain. US is the land which has allowed anyone who is meritorious to come here. We are not bothered about your religion and caste. Isn't it? And your ideology. The US is the land which has attracted the most meritorious people in this world. Right. And we can be happy that Indians are heading US organizations. This is how it is. But you know that how the hollowness in that. Why they have left, why they do not intend to come back. This. So can we give opportunity for those meritorious people? Yes. Or you should find the opportunity, you should create opportunity. They demand certain level of patriotism. Anyhow, we'll not go to that level. What we are trying to say is merit. Why US has innovations? It has place for merit. आपके पास merit है, most welcome. This. And in our society, you know it, isn't it? 5 points someone. Right. Anyhow. So that is most important aspect. You should know it. It will help you later stage. Since first time we are talking some of these things, that's why we are explaining it. Because second time, third time will not explain. Like second time, third time will not explain it. So these are first time coming because once a question was asked, merit helps in organizing democracy. Question has been asked. Right. So merit helps in organizing democracy. Now, what you will answer? Later on we'll take it. Now, merit helps in organizing democracy. It helps because first UPSC is merit based. So at least we can say that the most talented youth is occupied in civil service preparation. It is not creating trouble for society. Isn't it? And someone told that merit motivates you. Once you are recruited by merit, you feel motivated. Right? That you work because your recruitment is on the basis of merit. You have to contribute. Merit is recognized, you feel motivated. Isn't it? There is other way around also recruitment in our country. Recruitment is for other positions also, including state services, you have to pay money, isn't it? Depending on level of position, from 10 lakh to 20 lakh to 30 lakh to 50, 60, 70, highest I do not know. But I guess these things are paid. Are you aware? This कौन से स्टेट में रिक्रूटमेंट स्कैम नहीं हुआ है ये बताओ. Which state has not experienced scam in recruitment? Options? No option. Right. All states have experienced recruitment scam. So corruption is not only in Bihar. In fact, Karnataka recent time has experienced 3 times in 1 year recruitment scams. तो वो रिक्रूटमेंट स्कैम क्या है? रिक्रूटमेंट स्कैम एंड देन लेट्स से कि यू पे मनी फॉर दैट. Suppose you pay 20 lakh. 20 lakh you pay, you get a job. So once you get a job, will you work? You will not work. आपको उस 20 का 40 करना है. बैंक वाले भी इतना जल्दी रिटर्न नहीं देते. Isn't it? So he has joined not to work. He has joined to make 20 into return. Already 20 का 40 वो ले चुका है डाउरी. These things are interconnected, isn't it? वो 20 देने के लिए तैयार इसलिए है कि डाउरी मिल रहा है. This is also. उसके बाद भी वो 20 का 40 करना चाहता है. This. If recruitment is on the basis of a spoil system, corruption, you know the consequence. What happens? And largely you can see that not in lower level of jobs, universities, colleges, they have all, let's say that, favoritism in recruitment. That's why their teachers will not believe in teaching. Right? Because recruitment has not been on the basis of necessarily merit. This is how the bigger aspect, the broader aspect of the challenge. It's not only corruption. It's also it will not attract meritorious people. The good thing is that UPSC is meritorious. That's why it is able to attract even the most talented pool of this country. And continuously it has been attracting. Other fields have not been able to attract the way UPSC attracts. Yes. There can be other fields also, CAT, etc. They are also meritorious. CAT, JE, etc. They are also meritorious. That's why they have been attracting. But the same you cannot say for others. That's why they are not able to attract. There can be some other factors also. How merit will help organize democracy? So, merit promotes fairness. Fairness is justice. And when there is a merit, there is a sense of justice. And when there is a sense of justice, it promotes peace and harmony. This. Gradually you should know all these things, how it is. When in UPSC selection does not happen, so you do not criticize or you do not have a kind of sense of feeling an injustice has happened. But when there is lack of selection in state services, you have a sense of feeling that injustice has happened. Injustice creates conflicts in society. Conflicts create tension and chaos in society. This is true. So, the society, wherever you find chaos and conflict, there is lack of fairness and justice. That is how merit helps in organizing democracy. Yes, that is how the question was asked once. Anyhow, let's try next. Yes, when there is a merit-based selection, so then it eliminates political favor. Like say UPSC. UPSC, the Prime Minister will not ring and call to the chairperson, hey, मेरा एक बंदा जा रहा है देखना. Isn't it? But a Chief Minister can tell to you, State Public Service Chairperson. No. Or if not Chief Minister, at least a Minister can ring. Isn't it? Because the standard of politics at a state level is low. The standard of politics at national level is high. Plus, Prime Minister's stature is different. This is Chief Minister is different. So, at national level, they will not call. And those who are UPSC members also, they have their own stature, let's say that. It's a matter of standard. A minister also will not stoop so low to call to a member of UPSC. That's why merit itself, let's say, it builds a kind of system that will eliminate political influence. That's why I told you, merit begets merit. Good practices beget good practices. They will promote good practices. Bad practices will promote bad practices from them. So that, in fact, merit was introduced to eliminate political influence. That's why we can say this. Anyhow, let's write on this. So what we have written, merit. Have we written anything? Efficiency. That's all. Enough to tell. Let's write further on this. Due to spoiled system, US administration had inefficiency and it lacked impartiality. By merit system, Wilson wanted to promote apolitical civil service, impartiality and non-partisanship, and apolitical civil service. This is related to merit aspect because you know that already we have told Pendleton Act and 10% only merit system was introduced. So he was upset by that 10%. It is like many a time you are upset by any reform which is not satisfactory. That way you can take. And merit will promote impartiality and non-partisanship, which you will know gradually when we will talk later stage. What exactly, although you may understand the meaning of the term, but significance you will understand later when you will know it more broader aspect. Apolitical is that, this is how, it is another name, means politicization. Merit will, let's say that, eliminate any act of politicization. This, so that we can consider. Let's write next. Next is, after merit, Business-like administration, yes. Right. Partisanship is also, let's say, partiality, lack of fairness. Yes. Business-like administration. He was influenced by business administration. Business administration. In fact, US administration has a legacy of coming under the influence of business administration. Especially its efficiency approach. Business administration is known for first result orientation, professionalism, next commitment, next performance. It has change the paragraph. It has a sort of culture of mind your business. Mind your business. Since public administration role is also policy execution. It is similar to business administration. As it has to perform its activities and deliver results. Hence, Wilson wanted to incorporate business-like practices. In public administration. When he remarks, first, the field of administration is field of business. Next, public administration should become less unbusinesslike. And more businesslike. These are his statements basically. Let me say. What does it mean, all these things? So, business-like, basically let's say that if you take administration, since he says that its role is also to execute policy, execution, and business is also known for execution. Business is also about executing whatever the decision taken, you have to execute it. So business management is known for getting things done professionally, delivering results. So same thing, since public administration is also related to the same way it operates, so it should also work like business. It should deliver results. Yes, it should become result oriented, it should become performance oriented, it should have responsibility, commitment, professionalism, like business sector. US had a legacy to get influenced by business management since past. In fact, US municipal corporation, it has, let's say, municipal council, you know that in US, and in municipal corporation also council manager plan, it is considered. Council manager plan, so the municipal commissioner, you can say, are the permanent functionary who is appointed in municipality in US, is supposed to work as a manager. This you can say that. So manager, and manager should work like business, the way business works in terms of delivering results. The council manager plan, that is how its name itself. So legacy comes from that. The US philosophy of administration, once it was asked, difference between US philosophy of administration and British philosophy of administration. So US philosophy of administration is that they are influenced, means they have more influence of business management practices in public administration also. And Wilson was trying to do that. That's why he says that the field of administration is field of business. It should get rid of hurry and strife of politics. If you read the full sentence, it is like this. Hurry and strife of politics means politics should not interfere in the work of the administration. Once politics has taken decision, let the administration execute that decision. Don't interfere in this. And that is how it happens in business sector. Managerial autonomy they have. Once decision is taken, then the managers have the autonomy to execute it. Yeah, they demand autonomy to execute it. So that way we can consider result orientation. And that is how he want that public administration should become business like, and that means result orientation and how you will understand it, this business like. So you have to understand the two different scenarios. If you go in business sector, you don't have to remind to people that this is your task and this is how you have to deliver, this is your deadline. Once you have given the task, deadline, etc., it is their responsibility to know and deliver. Yes. So every day you don't have to remind. In public sector, first, people do not know their task. Second, they do not know deadline. Third, they do not deliver. If you ask to them, they will say, मुझे बताया ही नहीं. बस अब बोलोगे बताया था, बोला भूल गया. बस कौन याद रखता है इतने दिन? So पब्लिक सेक्टर एनवायरनमेंट इज जस्ट, ऐसा लगता है कि उन्होंने इतना कौन सा बहुत बड़ा एहसान किया है, कौन से टाइम पे कि दे लेट्स से कीप द गवर्नमेंट ऑन टोज एंड दे बिहेव एज इफ दे आर गवर्नमेंट. एवरी एम्प्लॉय इज लाइक दैट. दिस माइंडसेट, public sector mindset, this upside down, and every time you have to remind. You have to keep reminding them. This is the deadline. This is how it goes. Even when 50 years of DRDO happened, so present Prime Minister was addressing DRDO. And he used the term chalta hai. DRDO had chalta hai attitude, complacent attitude. हालांकि DRDO is a good institution. Isn't it? जब DRDO का ये हाल है तो ब्यूरोक्रेसी का क्या हाल है? He highlighted a problem in DRDO. Your project is, suppose project deadline is 2020. You are delivering the project by 2025. By 2025, the project no longer remains relevant because of changes in technology. Basically, you are delivering an outdated project. This, and that is how we have cost overrun. So responsibility. Gradually, you will learn about bureaucracy. Let's say when we'll talk one day. Bureaucracy, and you have to keep reminding bureaucracy, administration, those who work in administration, their task, their goal. A professional person is one who understands his role, responsibility, and he is not supposed to be reminded. Rather, he delivers himself. And that's why if you remind that person will tell, mind your business. That person will tell, mind your business. Because he will tell, you are now disturbing me. I know my role, I know my task, and I will deliver. You don't worry. You are not supposed to tell me. That is what he wants. Wilson wants that public administration should adopt business-like approach. That is how we say field of administration is field of business. But later on, it was also criticized. In fact, each contribution is also criticized because it has also its negative side, the other side. So that we'll talk later. So let's write next one. Next we are talking is after business like comparative administration. Let's comparative administration. Since he tried to learn from French and German system, French and German system of administration. He became first thinker. In public administration to adopt a comparative approach. Which later became a separate field of public administration. And one core characteristics of public administration. Since already in beginning we have explained it, no need to explain it. One day we'll have to teach you a chapter on comparative administration. Not only 2-3 lines. So when we'll teach you that chapter, so in hindsight you will understand it better. Here no need to go for much elaboration. But since he is the founder of the subject, he is also first thinker to talk on comparative approach, significance of comparative aspect. Comparative administration became a field during 1960s only. So in a way, let's say that he was having foresight on that. It should be an approach, and that is how the relevance. The next is called science of administration. Next contribution, science of administration. Okay. Since he advocated for a separate discipline which should build The best principles, tools and techniques. Best principles, tools and techniques. The discipline would have a scientific outlook. The discipline would have a scientific outlook. That is, he wanted to improve efficiency. Not through magical elements. But rather through research, analysis, objectivity, and scienticism. Try to understand. Although again, the first two classes, so we are so new, we are sensitive also not to tell so many things. But basically, let's see how we try to improve something. What he had in his mind when we say we have to improve efficiency, it is scienticism. There should be scienticism. What can be the scienticism? It is objectivity, it is research, analysis. Whatever the theories and principles you formulate, so how you should formulate those theories and principles? So formulation of theories and principles will demand that you should follow certain methods. You should, let's say that you do some research, do some analysis, and then you will formulate any theory and principle. This, and why he was talking these things, the macro environment of industrial revolution. Industrial revolution itself is rationality, objectivity, because they were trying to, let's say, promote innovations. What is industrial revolution? It's mechanization, it's innovations. And innovations will result into earning profit, expanding business. This. So, those influence, objectivity you can say, and that is how he is trying to talk about science of administration. So, efficiency we will achieve not on the basis of magical elements. Why we use the term magical elements? I'll tell you will understand better when we talk max level, but by the time we have to explain you so that you understand a bit of this. And yesterday we told you that how we try to earn profits and how we try to, let's say, achieve some of the things. Largely we have still more magical elements. We have more pomp and show. This business etc. So people, let's say, they think that कि भगवान किसी दिन कुछ करो, isn't it? वो कुछ नहीं करेगा. God will do. The people are praying that God do something, isn't it? They are themselves not doing. This is called magical elements, right? And they are waiting for something to happen. This. So people can have lots of ideas, but are they having hard work? Are they doing work on that? This. How business should flourish? Business should flourish 2 hours we give in morning prayers, isn't it? So that we can go in shop and cut their pockets. Yes, this. So that is how we will find this. Plus we go to various, let's say, shrines. They are popular for that, isn't it? This, and we donate lots of things so that he should or she should donate in turn. Anyhow, don't take it other way around. What he is saying, right? Efficiency. If you want to achieve efficiency, you have to apply your mind. You have to bring objectivity, bring innovations. That is what he was saying when you say science of administration at that stage, which you will realize when we will start talking more of chapter 2. what he was trying to say. When scientific management, you can talk simply management. No, but Taylor is saying scientific management. Right? Why you say scientific management? You can talk simply. But he adds a prefix called scientific management. It means that management was not scientific. This, he is saying scientific management. That is called scienticism. This. So that scienticism he wanted when he is talking about this business administration. This you can say. Which, let's say that administrators can apply, you can apply, many people apply, or at the same time we have also magical elements, let's say that, in our organizations also, which you will know gradually when you join your organizations. This, anyhow. So let's take next. Next is last point. Okay. What we said is control on administration. Control on public administration and public opinion. Public opinion. Wilson was aware about threats of bureaucracy. Wilson was aware of threats of bureaucracy. Bureaucracy. If it was not controlled, it would itself become threat. It would itself become threat to citizens' liberty and property. Liberty and property. Since US was a democratic country, US was a democratic country. Wilson was of view that bureaucracy should not threaten democracy. Bureaucracy should not threaten democracy. Rather, it should strengthen democracy. It should strengthen democracy. Strengthen democracy. By first working under democratic control. And second, by working under democratic control, and second, public opinion should also exercise control. Public opinion is about people in democracy and their representatives. They can have their views and values. Which should influence the conduct of bureaucracy. Like in India, the prevailing public opinion is that bureaucracy is not responsive to their problems. problems. That's all. See, later on you'll understand we don't have to teach all these things. Since later on these things, there is a chapter itself, accountability and control. At this stage, it may appear new to you, but later on, gradually things will become quite familiar. You will know about them. What is public opinion? Many a time, public opinion, you can find that the people think that there is a violation of human rights. The government has to conduct inquiry. Isn't it? Government conducts inquiry. Any incident has happened which is related to administration. So there again, the government will have to act. Many a time people go on protesting also against administration. And that protest may also force the government. So public opinion can be like this also. Public opinion is also a popular prevailing opinion, which exercises check on the administration. So people can have positive view also, people can have a negative view also. And both will have influence on the conduct of civil servant. And it is public opinion which can be further taken in deliberation and discussion in parliament. If people have any negative view, then let's say that can go in parliament. And at parliament level, there can be debate and discussion that can further force administration to become accountable. Yes. So, this is what he wants. How bureaucracy is threat for you at this stage, it is very new because you want to join bureaucracy, and then we are just talking in second class or first class itself. It is not a good institution. So it is not good for you, isn't it? So bureaucracy has threat. Bureaucracy becomes itself a threat. And it is not Wilson who is talking, let's say, that the first time. Already in past also it has been told, but yes, he is the first to talk. Weber will also talk. In fact, Max Weber will talk in much better way, and even if Max Weber talks, but thereafter you know that public choice approach will talk much better way. What bureaucracy means? Bureaucracy is punctured by public choice approach. Yes. They have done its ऐसे की तैसे. Sorry to say. So, bureaucracy, once you give power, you know that power corrupts. And absolute power corrupts. Absolute. So once you make bureaucracy merit-based, and then it executes. So bureaucracy, let's say if you empower, basically what you are trying to do is to make bureaucracy empowered. Merit-based selection you have to. It should focus on execution. But if this merit-based bureaucracy, even if you select, it is not controlled, then it will itself become a threat. You can see how bureaucracy is a threat to citizens' liberty and property. Bulldozer. Isn't it? बुलडोजर चलाना, isn't it? So, जब बुलडोजर चलता है तो वो थोड़े देखता है कि वो बगल वाला जो घर है उसमें क्रैक हो रहा है कि नहीं, isn't it? और जब बुलडोजर चलेगा इस घर में तो उस घर को भी क्रैक होगा, बट उसके लिए वो रिस्पॉन्सिबल नहीं, कोलेटरल डैमेज, isn't it? But बगल वाले ने क्या किया? And process procedures, you know that how they are followed. No, gradually you will become familiar with all these things. Process procedure की ऐसी की तैसी. Government will always say कि yes, they follow due process. Right. See, here they say they follow due process. Court में बोल रहा है कि नहीं, due process हमारे देश का नहीं है. Right. You will know it, although prelims में आ गया due process. This is so due process, let's say, what is due process? When someone has done something today and you have just, let's say, demolished his house, where is the due process? Right, the government say we have informed. When you inform? Right. If you have informed, at least give him 24 hours. Isn't it? But you are not giving him 24 hours. A person who is living in that house 24 years, you are not giving even 24 hours to vacate that house. Yes. And you go and demolish. Building house takes entire life. This should also. but we demolish him, you know that. You'll ask to your parents, they will tell. Ask to your grandparents, they will tell. How much time it takes in building house. आजकल तो मान लो आपके पास पैकेज है, बन जाएगा फटाफट, isn't it? But building a house takes time. But demolishing is not. This is bureaucracy. And this is what you can say, theft without punishment. Because the state is also always a powerful entity. Citizen is a very disempowered entity. Right? वो गलत भी हुआ है तो जाके गलत नहीं बोल सकता है, इसलिए कि सुनेगा कौन? This is a threat, the other side of bureaucracy. That is how he was trying to say. This is what you can take Wilson. So what he was trying to explain in his essay, you can see this. He is not only trying to talk about a separate discipline, he has also given certain descriptions related to the relationship between politics and administration. What that discipline should do, the nature of the discipline, that it should be a science, nature of administration, that it should become business-like, it should be meritorious, it should be efficient, it should have 3 E's as objectives, it should be under control of public opinion. And by this, let's say that his essay had a very profound impact on the field of public administration, that the other thinkers started taking it as a basis to separate public administration and talk about separate discipline, and that is how evolution of public administration starts. Yes. So let's write a few lines more. So impact of Wilson essay. Impact of Wilson essay on public administration. Impact of Wilson's essay on public administration. The essay is considered most seminal. The essay is considered the most seminal contribution, the most seminal contribution by Dwight Waldo. Another name of thinker, gradually we'll talk other thinkers also, by Dwight Waldo, because of its impact, that it has been taken as beginning of the discipline known as paradigm first, known as paradigm first. It has also become well established. It has also become well established recognition. It has also become well established recognition by the thinkers that public administration should focus on implementation side of government as it is concerned with how to run government efficiently. So this is what we can talk on this.